What's good, everybody? I'm Blitz5, and today's video is going to be a state of the game for PUBG on the Xbox One. And on top of that, there's a lot of news and information that just got released this week about PUBG on the Xbox One and kind of what's to come in the summer and fall roadmap for 2018. So I want to get into all that stuff first before I give my opinion and state of the game. So let's get into it before I keep rambling and make this video even longer than I need to. So first and foremost, Xbox and PUBG have been doing a weekly stream on Tuesday of PUBG and kind of taking people's questions and answering them and kind of giving out information and kind of community updates and stuff like that, kind of just reaching out to the community. And it looks like the last couple ones of these have been hosted by Nico Bahari, and I mentioned him in the previous video because he is the executive producer for PUBG on the Xbox One. And in this recent one that was on Tuesday, I think it was July 24th, there was a lot of questions and answers given in this hour-long video. I'm going to link it down in the description box below, but I'm also going to go over it here kind of in summary form. So if you want to listen to that full video, you can, but like I said, I'm going to summarize it here. And there was just so much stuff here, so I wrote it all down. I'm going to get into that now. I'm going to start with one of the biggest things that I got from this stream, and something that I was surprised that he answered because there's a lot of information into this. So they were saying that obviously recently, if you've been paying attention to any of the PUBG news or playing the game, some of the crates were given out by accident as a bug, and some people received like different kind of gear, rare gear. They received weapon skins, which is something that's not in the game yet. So that was like caused a pretty big commotion. People were posting about it. It was like all over YouTube and the forums. So he responded to that and basically said that, obviously that was an error. He had already responded to that on Twitter. They already admitted that it was an error, but that all of that stuff, weapon skins, different modes, custom games, achievements, everything that people have been asking for is coming in the 1.0 version of the game. And then so that was great news, but at the same time, that's not coming in the very near future. That's not happening right now. That's coming later in the summer, it sounds like, or maybe even the very end of the summer, but who knows? It's hard to tell with PUBG and all the stats. They didn't really allude to any exact date, but he basically said that that's not where they're at right now, and that it was unfortunate that the bug happened with the weapon skin because the skins aren't coming out right now. That is what he said, but like I said, no exact date. It just seemed like by the way that he was wording it that it's not coming until maybe a couple weeks, maybe later in August. So that's unfortunate because everybody got really hyped around the weapon skins. But what's crazy to me is that they're going to be launching a version 1.0 of the game. So that's basically kind of alluding to the fact that they're taking it out of game preview and it's going to be the first stable version of the game, which some people had, I saw on the forum, some people had some kind of criticism about that, but I think it's fair because the game is in a much playable state right now. So I think it's fair that after maybe another update or two, it's going to be in the 1.0 version, and that will basically be a full version of the game where there's weapon skins, there's different modes, custom games, and achievements. Then it's like a real Xbox game. So there we have it, 1.0. All that stuff's coming in 1.0, but we just don't know when exactly it's coming yet. But that's huge news to me. Probably the biggest news. Then they talked about a bunch of different stuff here. So he kind of mentioned the ump and how there's not a lot of recoil with that weapon and how there's been some errors with the grips that were put into the game. And one of the most noticeable ones was with the ump where it really affected the recoil, reducing it. And that's been really a fan favorite for players in PUBG right now. So he said that they don't really have a solution, but they're looking into it and that they hope to kind of patch or hotfix that in the near future. Then another hot topic here was desync that he brought up. And for anybody that's not familiar with what desync is, I'll try to do my best to explain it. I'm not a coder or claim to be like an expert in this kind of stuff. I just looked it up before I made this video so that I could kind of elaborate on it. And basically what desync is, it kind of goes hand in hand with lag, but they're two different things. Is when, say, you were running behind a rock and on your screen you're behind the rock, but then you die. You get shot in the head and you die. But on your screen you're behind the rock and the enemy player couldn't have hit you. But on his screen there could be some kind of desynchronization where on his screen you're not behind the rock and he shoots you in the head. And this could be caused by like many different things. It could be caused by lag, and then lag kind of incorporates into the synchronization of the game because basically the game is syncing up where all the players are, where everything is at the same time. It has to kind of take everybody's ping. It says you're behind the rock, you're not behind the rock, you have these weapons, you don't have these weapons, here's what's in your inventory. All that stuff is kind of synchronizing into the game. So basically what their issue is that they have a hard time determining, was that someone's connection that made them appear not behind the rock, or was it the game's fault that the game didn't match up where the player was on the level and put them outside of the rock, right? So I hope I made that kind of understandable, but I understand where they're coming from because they said they have a really hard time recreating these, and to fix an issue like this, PUBG needs to recreate the problem first to then work on it. And so that's a big issue, and I feel like a lot of times people just need to accept that this has happened in every single game. This is just my personal opinion here, but this has happened in almost every video game I've ever played, in Call of Duty, Battlefield, all that stuff. You think you're in a building and you get shot and you're not. It's just, I think it's a part of lag, and I'm sure maybe there's something to do with PUBG's end here on, it's something, you know, a little bit of it is their fault, but I really feel like a lot of this is just internet connection. So let's move on from that. Then they had a world first, which I already made a video and posted about, was that a hotfix is coming next week, the week of July 30th. So depending on when you're watching this video, it might already be out yet. And that's with the analog movement. They're implementing the first step of that into the game. So I'm very excited for that. Then someone asked a question about 60 frames per second, and Nico Bahari explained that they're definitely looking into that, but they really just want to get the game working in all circumstances first. And that's obviously an end goal for them, to make the game run at 60 frames per second. And I'm sure the more people that move to Xbox One X will help that. I heard there's an announcement for some new Xbox hardware, so who knows if they're coming out with something else. But basically said that they're working on the game first. Then that's way down the line. They just want to get everything at a solid 30 frames per second in all aspects of the game first. Then let me flip over my notes here. This was pretty interesting. Someone asked about Sanhok. So this is obviously a hot topic because this is the third map. I made a video of me playing this on PC just to check it out and see what we're in for on the Xbox One. And he said that there's a potential that with this change, it might just come straight out to the live server without hitting the test server. They basically said that they're working on putting it into the game. And if quality assurance is okay with it, they're just going to allow it to go right into the game so that they can kind of catch up Xbox to the PC. But that if there's issues, they'll have to put it onto the test server first. So to me, that's awesome. They put patch 17 immediately from the test server to the live server, which some people had issues with, but I'm happy with that. I think the faster the updates, the better. Sometimes things aren't going to work as intended, but I'd rather have it out there and just have more content for us. And this new map is so awesome. It's so much fun. It's so different from the first two maps that I'd really like it to come to the live servers as soon as possible. That's just a personal opinion of mine. And then also with Sanhok, he kind of talked about the event pass, which was released with Sanhok on the PC. And this was pretty interesting because in my eyes, everything I've seen so far is that Xbox is replicating PC to a T. And he said that he couldn't really give a lot of information, but that the event pass most likely won't be identical to the PC version, and that it needs to kind of be customized to Xbox, which I was kind of shocked to hear. And he said that just don't expect it to be the same way, and that it's actually further away than they thought. I thought that this would be released probably in the next couple of weeks or at some point in the summer, but he said that this seems to be like they're just in the first steps of bringing this to Xbox, and that they're trying to do everything else first. So that was surprising. Basically, the takeaway is that Event Pass isn't coming as soon as we thought. So we'll keep moving on because, like I said, we still got some other things here. I also want to promote that you can watch this every Tuesday. I wrote down a little note here. Like I mentioned that at the beginning of the video. I'll link down in the description box below. Again, just a shout out. Also, it's kind of helpful to follow him on Twitter. Just a shout out to him because he's always posting like the latest news and also doing giveaways for like different items in the game, and even sometimes copies of the game or new Xbox and stuff like that. It seems like he's always doing some type of giveaway. And then also, somebody asked a question about the compass color, which I wish I was live streaming because I would have asked the same question. The compass color obviously being very white, and then when you're playing on Miramar or looking into the sky on any map, it can be really hard to see. And he said that this really wasn't on their radar. They had heard it before, but they didn't really mention it. And he actually wrote it down because he was saying that I definitely do agree that this should be fixed, and it doesn't seem like it would be that big of a fix. So we could potentially see that coming soon. They were talking about the ability to spectate, and Nico Bahari really likes that ability, and so do I. I think that's awesome. Somebody asked about a kill cam, and he said that that's definitely a possibility. They're thinking about it, and they'll eventually be in the game at some point. At least that's what he made it sound like. But it's just, again, they need to work on a bunch of other stuff, but that's definitely like in their vision of the game. Then from that, somebody mentioned and asked about proximity chat, and I was expecting to get a better answer than this, or a more positive answer, but he seemed like it's not something that they're interested in doing right now because they're just focused on so many other aspects of the game. And that I guess when you put in something like proximity chat, you need to have a lot more UI built into the game, and also an infrastructure to see what player is talking, the ability to report them. They need to worry about player safety and all that stuff, and there's just a lot of things that they don't want to have to work on right now because there's so many other issues. So that seemed to not really be on their radar, and not really something that's going to be coming anytime soon, which that would be really fun and awesome to have on Xbox, but I kind of agree with him that it's really not a priority. It's just something that would make me laugh. A lot of times I do play in a party, and it would have to be something really spectacular for me to leave the party with my friends and play in game chat just to speak to somebody. And then you'd also need like a button to push to speak, which I don't know what button that would take over on the controller, when on the keyboard you have like more buttons to assign to that. And then just two more things here. We have weather. Someone was asking about dynamic weather, which is coming to PC. And obviously, I think this is kind of an obvious answer, but he was saying that they're going to test how it works on PC, and also they need to fix the frame rate issues on Xbox before they even think about doing something like this. This is obviously something that they have a dream of doing on Xbox, but it just, how long is it going to take? They really don't know. So that's kind of something just way in the future. I don't think that's in the realm of this summer. And then last but not least, we have, they're stepping up the terms of service and trying to make the community better on Xbox One. So right now they don't really have an efficient way of banning players or reporting people or having any kind of effect on team killing and bad behavior in the game. So they're going to be putting out guidelines to how to do that, kind of repercussions of having, going against the term of service, or creating a bad atmosphere for other players or team killing. They're going to make some guidelines for the repercussions to that, and that will all be posted kind of on the forums in the next couple weeks. It sounded like that seemed like something that was coming sooner than later, and that was a big priority for them. So I'm sure they've been getting a lot of feedback from that. Luckily, I play with a lot of my friends, so I don't get team killed very often, but I could see that being very frustrating from players who play solo or go into squads by themselves. So anyways, that's all the major changes here. I think I'm just going through all my notes. I think I have them all here. Basically, the biggest one to me is that all of these different modes and stuff that I was hoping were coming soon are coming in 1.0, and we really don't know when that's going to happen. But when it does, it's going to be just huge on Xbox, and probably the second biggest thing to happen to Xbox since patch 17, where the game was pretty much fixed and made the experience way better. So going into the state of the game before I end the video, we'll talk about that. Patch 17 really did fix this game a lot. The game feels like a game that's very playable. It still almost feels like a demo of a game because there's just not a ton of content in there. It's just 2 maps. And someone also asked about skins and stuff like that, and when are we going to get new clothes? And he basically responded like, that's not even what they're worried about right now. They just want to make the game playable. So that seemed to be less of an issue for them, and I totally agree. But stuff like skins and all that stuff makes the game feel more robust and more like a real game. So for right now, the game is playable. I haven't crashed in the middle of a game since patch 17. I've crashed a handful of times before I loaded into the game, but then I was still allowed to load in and play with my friends. And basically, we just dropped at the very end of the plane, and I was able to get back in and continue the match. But haven't really been crashing at the end. Close quarter combat has been a lot better. There's still some frame lag when people throw smoke and a Molotov cocktail. But for the most part, the game has improved a lot. And as Nico Bahari mentioned in the stream, they did have some patches where the game went backwards. But so far, they've had 17 patches, and the game is, to me, almost 10 times better than it was when I first started playing back in February, March. So they've made some big strides, and I really think by 2019, this game will be like a full-fledged game with so much content in here. I expect some kind of event pass to be out by Xbox by then, and we should have a lot of fun with this game. So I'm really enjoying it. It seems like a lot of my friends who gave up on PUBG have kind of come back because the game is a lot more playable now, and I feel like that does a great thing for the community because some of the PUBG seem to be walking away from PUBG, and now when you play a game, there really isn't that much to complain about right now other than the occasional lag and frame rate issues that are still plaguing the console. So that's that. This video is already pretty long, so I'll end it here. Let me know what you guys think. Are there any changes that really stand out to you other than the 1.0 update? Is there anything that you would like to see in PUBG? Something funny that he mentioned was that he'd like to see some kind of funny versions of the horns for the vehicles in the game. Like, I would honestly pay money to have the La Cucaracha or like an ice cream truck noise if I hit my horn or a button to do that. And he mentioned that, which I thought was funny. I would seriously love that to be in the game. It's very trolly, kind of annoying and unrealistic, but it would be awesome to have some kind of customizable horn for, like, say, the muscle car or something like that. Just a side thought, something silly there. But let me know what you guys think. And as always, I appreciate you watching. I'm Blitz5, and peace out.
Yep,
They're going to shoot because I'm running to the next tree. Shooting from the warehouse.
Here from the warehouse.
I'm gonna move in the bottom.
I got
here.
smoke. I'm gonna lay down.
Yeah, move up a little bit.
Smoke.
Come behind you, Chris. Come behind you. I'm going to keep moving.
I
See
see
if
him.
he
I see
shoots
him.
me?
The mini guardhouse. The mini guardhouse. Mini guardhouse. To the left of the entrance.
I don't know if they're in the
There's a
circle,
guy in there.
so they might need to move.
I see him. If he pop. You see
So
him? Mini guardhouse still.
Two of them there. Two of them there. We knocked
knocked
one. I'm gonna move into position. I'm gonna move farther to get in
reloading.
position.
I don't see the other
Reloading
guy.
quick.
They're both at the
see it.
guardhouse. They're both at the guardhouse.
Remember, they have to
They're
move for
in
the
the
circle, right?
guardhouse?
We should wait.
They're both in the guardhouse. Yeah.
Yeah. We should wait for them to move.
Yeah,
10
just
seconds.
wait,
They have
just
to
wait.
move.
I knocked him.
Nice. So he's on the other side of the guardhouse.
Yep. We're in a good spot, guys. We got this. We got this.
Yeah, just be patient.
Circle's moving. Circle's moving. They're beat. They're beat. They're beat. Yeah, buddy.
Nice. Got the
Yeah,
last one.
buddy.
Good win.
Dude, that was awesome.
I like the mini, man. The mini's
Yeah.
definitely my favorite rifle.
Me too,
It
man.
feels
Me
nice.
too.
The
It
mini
feels. I thought it was. It's like not the strongest one, but the way it shoots is perfect. Oh man.
It's a perfect little like bop.